All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Had the white pieces in this game, as usual, starting off with e4. We had e5, and I played c4, which is a sort of a strange way to segue into an English opening. My opponent attacked at e4, attacked from f6 to e4, and I simply protected, which is a fine move. We're back into book, and now back out of book, which is fine. So my opponent has spent 2 moves to put his bishop on a square outside the pawn chain of the same color as that bishop. So this bishop, which might normally in this position be a bad bishop, is instead equivalent to a good bishop. So he's outside the pawn chain, and that's better than otherwise. Then on the other hand, it has taken my opponent 2 moves, but he's about to castle and all things, and we're going to have a game of chess. I said to all of that, no. Pawn to d4, and I'm ripping open the center, or just making a strong play for the center altogether. After e takes d4, knight takes d4, my opponent moved this bishop again. This for the second move of the game, now to b4, and so this signals to white that black is taking a little bit too much time developing pieces and ignoring pieces that should be developed or could be developed in favor of a great bishop outside the pawn chain that has nonetheless moved twice in the first 6 moves. Bishop g5. I played, it may be a little ambitious, but I felt I wanted this knight to be under control against potential pawn grabs at e4. When the bishop at g5 puts this knight into a strong pin against the queen, this knight is not going anywhere. But right, this pawn is a target because my pawn at c3 is pinned, absolutely. Sorry, not my pawn, my knight at c3 is pinned, absolutely. Knight d7. I agree with Stockfish here. There might have been more pressing moves to make, either in response to this situation on the queen side, or even the squares aren't quite there. So maybe I stand corrected. But my first look on this would be try to get the light squared bishop out. The only sensible option right now is at d7. You could maybe argue for e6. But my opponent chose otherwise. We have this knight guarding the knight that's pinned, so there's a positive point to that. I guess we'll rally beyond that. Knight f5. Yeah, it's an inaccuracy. Maybe I overestimated the power of the knight attacking the pawn on g7, or overestimated how easily black can release the bishop's scope, the c8 bishop's scope, onto f5 with a move like knight e5. Now this knight is under attack, but it also isn't all that bad either. We're putting pieces right in black's face here, close to where he's probably going to castle. So we're going to get some pieces going in that direction, and I'm not exactly sure which pieces and exactly where those pieces are going to go or end up quite yet, but we're pretty sure that this knight on f5 is going to be right in the thick of it. Bishop d3 is a developing move that strengthens the center, gives me time to castle or even wait a move and then castle, because now the pawn on e4 is protected against attacks from the rook, unless black wants to sacrifice the exchange. So making the way for a kingside castle. bishop to d3. Notice he's blocked by these two pawns. We're not all too certain, mostly because of how those pawns might advance soon, and that the bishop's playing quite a role in protecting these two important pawns. And it's for those reasons that I decided against playing bishop to e2. Bishop to e2 might have been fine, frankly, because with the queen at d1 and the bishop at e2, they form this battery along this kind of short diagonal from d1 to h5. Let's see that. Let's see if the if Stockfish suggests bishop to e2 as a move or not. I'm wondering if that's considered as strong as if that's a strong alternative. Stockfish wants f3. That I think plays against the bishop a bit, but bishop to d3 as the second best option. Go me, wahoo! But we also want to know about bishop e2. Oh, bishop e3 is the other bishop. No, okay, I wasn't gonna play that. But bishop to e2. No, okay, so now we know. Go back to put this on 3 lines and 3 seconds. That's fine. So I played bishop d3. It was an interesting move choice, and I chose get the castle and get the bishop to a great square. Stockfish considers computer considers it the computer best move, so I'm glad with that. Now putting the question to the bishop with h6. Alright, I don't want to lose this bishop for a knight, especially when he'll be replaced by another knight, and it'll be an improvement of this situation. It'd be like taking this piece off the board and thereby allowing Black's light squared bishop some influence on the game. So I move back, and often you'll see in these situations g5 to follow, and then it's clear black wants white's light squared bishop out of there to g3 even. And instead of that, and I think this is the right move, or at least closer than pawn to g5, this nice outpost for Black's knight at e5 is looking strong against some of these pieces near the center of the board. Castles is good. Now we can get on with the attack. Trading minor pieces there, I think is, it's interesting because Black loses the minor exchange, but then ahead, the knight that Black took off, this was no ordinary knight. Look, he's controlling all these squares. You can't play into the bishop, but he's still having influence on all 8 possible squares that a knight can influence. That knight is influenced all these 8 squares, so he's at maximum. Knowing that he's at an outpost because of the pawn at e4 backing up his duties, and even a bishop backing up that. So this move, bishop takes f5. It's a great move by Black. The computer scores it as a good move, which is like less than excellent or best. Some once in a while I have to offer my own opinion on things. I think it's a little bit better than that. It shows a good long-term strategic thought by Black to take off this very powerful knight that I had on f5. Of course, capturing back by e takes f5, and I think this is a good moment to take stock and notice what the opportunities are for each side. Actually, going back before that mistake by Black. Materials even. My opponent has more time on his or they clock, and so is doing well in that regard. Then king safety. Both sides have safe kings. Space. I'm probably gonna give a slight advantage to white in space. It's not the main thing that this game is about right now, but black is very slightly cramped. So maybe, yeah, maybe. So white has just a slight advantage in space. Initiative. Right now it's black's turn to move, and this is one of the main things wrong with the move black chose in the game. It shows no direction to guide initiative. Initiative card. Mobility. White has superior mobility here. This magnificent queen. Compare white's queen here to black's queen, and that's a lot of that story. And these knights are pretty good, but so are white's bishop. Black's knights are pretty good, but so are white's bishops. So just in general, white has better mobility. Alright. These are the same 5 forces espoused by Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan in Play Winning Chess, plus a force I've added called Clock. He had the same 5, and then that's what it was. He called initiative time, and I decided we should probably account for clock. Most modern games are played including a clock. And then clock and time were too close together, so in my version I've changed time to initiative and added clock. And clock is most directly what is going on your game clock. Okay, so rook e8, like I said, it doesn't really show much fight for the initiative. And on the other hand, if this knight has to move away, perhaps an f4 push, then black has a head start at owning the e file. Knight to d5 is the other. This is the tactical reason why rook e8 was not optimal. We're hitting the bishop on b4. He's sure they has to respond to that in some manner or another. And also there are some issues with the pinned piece at f6. The pinned knight at f6 could be in peril as well. Bishop c5's the best follow-up. Just calmly keep a bishop in on the action. We're going to see not too long from now, I think this pin on the f2 pawn will become a factor. And for my part, here's where I started calculating. What was it? Maybe it was next. Anyways, I saw that knight f6 check doubles the pawns in front of black's king. And look at this horrible pawn structure. And black's pieces are just about not allowed to come over and offer any aid. And there's a queen streaming in to gobble h6. There's a queen streaming in and under circumstances to play queen to g4 check. That this f6 pawn could be captured by bishop. This is just begging for white to attack black's king. Here I'm letting so I launched it. I calculated this. This was calculated that I could just play queen to h5, lose the piece on d3, but seeing that my opponent played these 3 moves are just about the same as per computer eval. King to h7 doesn't really get rid of the problem. I stepped out of the I stepped away from the g file. For what reason? But only to unleash my f pawn. Right, this pawn's no longer pinned. I guess I saw the f pawn might play a strong role in a subsequent attack. My opponent took the bait now. Knight takes d3, and queen takes f7 is going to earn white the black queen. Not too long, and it's checkmate. Alright, that's it. That's all I had for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm More Gravity, in case you wanted me to remind you. And have a great night.